Hi there, everybody. We're going to be talking about joining Orchestra today and all the things you can come to expect. Please stick around and find out. Hey everybody, my name is Andrew. Today we're going to be talking about the orchestra programs and joining. Please remember to like, comment, and subscribe, and visit us on alamomusic.com for any of your needs, questions, or even information that you might need. So today what we're going to be talking about is joining orchestra and the things that kind of come up with it. This could start as early as 5th grade, or maybe even you want to join later in life as an adult. Or even in some cases that I've experienced after retirement. There's a bunch of different things to look for in instruments and certain information you might need that this video will possess to go forward and finally take that first step. So let's start from the beginning. There's 3 main instruments that are, or 4 actually, in an orchestra program that you might, that you will have to run into. You either start with the violin, the viola, the cello, or the bass, the string bass in particular. Each of these instruments are unique in the fact that they have sizes. This is because basically it's not very comfortable for someone who, say, is like, 4 feet tall, happens to be like 10 years old. They aren't going to be even able to reach the top of a full-size cello or even a double bass at the half size. So what we end up doing is we recommend a fraction size. Most of these instruments come in quarter sizes. So with the violin, for instance, you can get the quarter, half, 3/4, or the full size. Another weird detail is that they do come in eighths, but that's not really important to this part. So as far as these instruments goes, the way that you want to size the child and see which one they would be appropriate for is not to look at their age, but rather their arm length and their comfortability, I don't know if that's a word, but is to look at their size as far as holding the instrument up and their arm length when doing so. Usually when you go to get an instrument from a music store, there's a process as far as the salesperson or a person helping you at the time will go ahead and have you size out an instrument through measurement. When you play on the violin, what we're usually looking for is more of a kind of a degree angle on your arm to make sure that it fits and that the kid is able to hold the instrument up at that time. If for some reason the instrument, say, is too big, the kid will be more likely to hold their arm out long, and that's super uncomfortable after a long period of time, right? Or if it's too small, they'll end up having to crunch their elbow in or having to angle themselves weird, and that can also be super uncomfortable for some children. So when we size them, we usually start out with those sizes. Now, one thought that might come up with this is that means I might have to go ahead and purchase multiple instruments, right? So the instrument's not going to grow with you. And in some cases that might be true, but in most cases, especially here in San Antonio, like here at Alamo Music Center, what we do is called rentals. On the rentals, you can rent out the half size, quarter size, 3/4 size, and spend your money on those for the rental purposes, and then move up to the full size instrument once the kid is at an appropriate age or size for the instrument. That way you're not just throwing away your money or anything like that, and you're not having to worry about reselling an instrument later to put towards another. So say if the child started on cello. When we start on the cello, what we're looking for is the instrument going in between their legs. They're able to comfortably hold it, and they're not having to go up too high or go too low and bend over on the instrument to be able to bow on it. When that kind of thing happens, you start out on the half size, the kid grows over time, and you get up to the 3/4 size. And that'll help you kind of gauge where they're going to be at and where you want to put your money as far as the next instrument up. The next part of the orchestra programs that you might find for, say, your child or kid joining the orchestra program is when they can join. One of the unique things about it here in San Antonio is that a lot of the programs here start actually in 5th grade rather than 6th grade in the elementary school program. Usually orchestra directors coming in from other places will come in and say like the high school orchestra director will come into the elementary school and they will give the basically after-school lessons to a group of children in 5th grade at the elementary school. Usually it's up to the parent to go to, say, a music store, like here at Alamo Music Center, to go and rent out the instrument to use for those after-school programs. Now, as far as other things that you might need that the school might be asking for up front is going to be like, say, books. At most programs here in San Antonio, usually we recommend books such as The Essential Elements, the Suzuki Learning Method books. Those are both fantastic programs to use, and most band orchestra directors are going to be using those over time. Another thing is going to be the sticker frets. On a cello and violin, viola, all those instruments and everything like that, there are no frets on the board. And in some cases with a lot of children and stuff, it's not going to be very comfortable, or it's not going to be very familiar because it's needing to learn the spaces on where the instrument, where your fingers would go on the instrument. Basically, you get a graph sticker that you put on there, and you put it onto the little fret, the fingerboard, not the fretboard because it's fret, but the fingerboard, you put it on there, and then they would be able to match their fingers to it based on where they would be. This is super useful, and the person helping you out at your local music store will be able to help you put those on for you. I highly recommend asking for that or your orchestra director to do so. Other supplies to expect with the violin, usually when you purchase or rent that instrument, is going to be things like the rosin, the bow, and the case itself for the instrument, and the shoulder rest, or in the case of a cello or double bass, the rock stop. For the violin, the cello is going to be a sticky material that comes with the instrument. It is going to be something you key down. You can use sandpaper or an old key or something like that, and you just get the sticky residue on the rosin, and you spread that, I would say, for about 15 to 20 minutes on a fresh new bow, over and over again in a row, and that's what causes the friction between the bow and the strings on the violin to make the sound and everything like that. It's like when you make your finger wet and you spread it up across the countertop and it makes the noise. Same principle right there. The next part is going to be the bow. As far as taking care of the bow and everything like that, what we really recommend is always loosening the bow, and when you put it away and when you're using it and everything, not to tie it up too tight. If there is totally cases where it happens, where the bow itself can be too tight, and then up on the top of the bow, it could break off. Or if it's too tight, the bow itself, which is supposed to have a shape like this, we'll probably have some videos and stuff like that showing it, can actually straighten out, and you're not able to use it properly anymore. So we really recommend taking care of it. My usual recommendation to parents and students that are wanting to learn the instrument is tighten it up until you get the first sign of any kind of resistance, and then you're pretty much set to go. The next part is going to be the shoulder rest. The shoulder rest is basically a padding that goes between you and the instrument itself. You basically put it on the viola or the violin by putting it down as a sad face for the instrument holding it up, and then you put it on there and it sizes it well. And you just put it on to wherever your shoulder. I'm so sorry, I hit the mic. And then you put it onto your shoulder. The rock stop is something that comes with the cello and the double bass. The cello and the double bass basically are instruments that are going to be laid down on the ground in front of you, and they have what's called a little needle tip on the bottom where they have the rod. You put the rock stop on the ground, it has padding on the bottom so it's a non-slip material, and then you put the cello needle down on it, and that's where it'll be held and pretty much set while the child or you are playing on the instrument. The next part of these instruments is going to be the case itself, which is going to hold everything. Usually, and I very much recommend this, is looking into a hard shell case or a canvas case that basically has padding in the inside. These are very fragile instruments made of a very fragile kind of wood and are meticulously put together. The instruments, say the violin, cello, double bass, the viola, all of those have what's called a floating bridge style, which is basically the little wooden thing holding the strings up. It's not it's not glued to anything. There's no adhesive at all whatsoever. So it's very important to have a case that will be able to hold it, but still not be rocked around enough to where it can snap. It's one of the scariest sounds in the world when it happens, and want to be careful with it. Other things to look out for is going to be branding. I highly recommend the brands Yamaha and Eastman as far as the student line of violins, violas, cellos, all those instruments, even the double bass for sure. While the price point might be high, these are quality instruments that last a lifetime, especially for students wanting to get into it from middle school up until high school. It is really easy to go on Amazon and look up violin, and you'll see tons of really cool instruments from a ton of different name brands. You'll find stuff from brands like Bendini, Cecilio, all kinds of stuff. And they'll sometimes be different colors, such as black, purple, maybe with a gold dust on it. You can find all kinds of stuff. It is very important to verify that these are good brands with the orchestra director at your program or with your local music store. Because some of these instruments, when you order them, say you find a violin on Amazon, you can find it for 100, 150 bucks. The problem with it is that it's not made with the care that it needs. You'll get it and it'll have a straight bridge. You'll get it and the instrument itself is not put together correctly. You'll get it and the strings are already popped. There's not going to be a lot of quality control when ordering these things online. That's why we very much recommend going to your local music store, such as here at Alamo Music Center, to go and look and make sure you're getting the instrument up front before you make the purchase. Plus, with the rental program and everything like that, the forward investment going into the instrument and the lifespan of your students' activities it kind of evens out in the end. Thank you so much for watching. This video is basically a video to go over the overview of getting started with an orchestra program, starting on these instruments. Visit us on alamomusic.com and we will be able to give you any kind of tips. We have a text line, we have an information line and everything, so you can get support on any needs you need. Remember to like, comment, subscribe, and hit that bell icon to get any notifications for any videos that we release in the future. We're going to be having tons of new orchestra and band program videos, so check it out. Thank you so much for watching. Have a wonderful day.